Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Hippie Fit Mom reporting for Igirl Tech News, and today I have Andrea from Thinkfun with me. She is the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Thinkfun Incorporated, the world's leading developer of addictively fun games that sharpen your mind. Her reputation for creative problem solving, talent spotting, and nurturing of young minds distinguish her as a leader in the toy industry and as a role model for entrepreneurs everywhere. Welcome, Andrea. Or Andrea.
Thank you. That's okay. Thanks, Amber. Great to meet you. Great to meet you.
Yes, thank you so much for talking with us today. So, keeping our minds sharp is extremely important, and games are a great way to do that. So, can you tell us a little bit about Think Fun and why you started it?
Yes. I've always wanted to start a business, even though I probably think I didn't know what that meant when I was younger. But I was always curious about how things worked. And so I had a couple of ideas before Bill and I started this business when we were around 28 years old. So that's almost 30 years ago. And what we did is we had these incredible puzzles. We were dating, and he had these puzzles that were invented by a scientist at Bell Labs. And the essence of it was that this gentleman, Bill Keister, was taking really tough mathematical concepts and expressing them in a physical form. I don't have a background in technology at all, but I really saw the magic of taking something that, especially in the mid 80s, was not familiar, which was binary code and then the beginnings of the internet, and actually being able to physically touch it and then really understand it. So I'm a hands-on learner, and I really thought, wow, this is great. And so we wanted to start a business, and this was a physical thing that I said, let's just make these and start a business. And we really had no idea what the heck we were doing. But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. And you recently released Robot Turtles, a game that teaches code. Can you talk more about that?
Yes. Well, the game first came to our attention through a wonderful woman who works with us, who's in inventor relations, and she was looking around on Kickstarter and saw how this game was just blowing things apart. Bill and I have two boys. One of them, our older son, is a coder, self-taught after college. And that was always a big mystery to me. Like I would see the code and be like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then we got the game in off of Kickstarter as we were talking with the inventor, and we went to play it. And when we went to play it, and it's really an activity for parents and kids, and it's a thought process, I had this huge aha moment and said, oh my God, that's the way I think. And so it completely demystified for me personally what coding was all about. And it was really one of those amazing breakthroughs where I thought, okay, why did I not know this before? Why didn't I like research coding a little bit more? I was just the typical sort of getting to be middle aged, intimidated, and it was just awesome. So I felt like if I could get that without a technical background and be so enamored with it, I was one of the people at the table who said we got to do this because kids will love it.
Yeah. Now, I read that you put yourself through college while working full time. Now, that has to be difficult. So, can you talk a little bit about that and how has that helped you in your current endeavor?
Um, I kind of can't believe I did that actually. Sometimes when you're doing things, they don't seem as difficult as when you look back and you go, oh my God. I said I was a hands-on learner. I don't even think that kind of language was being used when I was getting out of high school. But I started college at the University of Florida, gigantic school, and I sat down in a 500, room amphitheater for a class. And I just said to myself, I cannot do this. I will be bored. I can't do it. And I had started working from around the age of 15 just because I wanted to see how things work. So at any rate, the way it's helped me along the way is I've just always wanted to know how things work.
Mhm.
So the classes that I was taking, I had jobs, one or two jobs at the same time. I mean, I had an awful lot of energy, I was young. And I played hard and I worked hard, so I would take a semester off here and there and have long weekends of travel to wherever I had friends, in the military where they were living and
Yeah.
and had a free place to stay. So I think it's for me, and I say this to people I work with, it's really like you should always be a doer. You shouldn't just be a delegator. And I do. I'm privileged to run a company that is global. We are all 50 countries around the world, but we started in our basement. And if the floor needs to be swept and nobody's around, I will pick up the broom. And I really believe that some of the most successful people are people who want to get their hands dirty and really get into, how things work, because you can always have a more broad understanding of the whole picture.
I agree. I agree. And it feels like, well, it sounds like you have a really good balance of everything. So I agree with that. So I do have a question about challenges. So as a startup, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced with your business?
Um, well, in the early days, there was not as much technology of it as available now.
Yes.
So a lot of the challenges had to do with how to create things efficiently without having to hire too many people or get ahead of yourself. When people come to me now, I always say, well, my particular experience at the beginning doesn't matter as much as sort of an attitude. So I think what I would say is that, having a focus on what you really care about, listening and being able to learn along the way and not being arrogant, and being really careful not to think that everybody else knows more than you do, because I don't think they necessarily do.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Especially if it's the thing that you're doing that you're passionate about, right?
Right. Right. So, what's the one question anyone should ask themselves when wanting to start a new business, would you say?
So I get asked that question a lot. I don't actually it's not articulated as well as you just said, but I do talk to a lot of people who are starting businesses. And my question always is, what part of it do you love? What is it that you want to do? So let's say you're creating products yourself, or you're passionate about marketing. What I always say is, okay, who's going to do the stuff that you don't like to do, that you don't want to do? Like, you're going to either have to do it yourself for a while,
Yeah.
unless you got a bunch of backing and all that stuff. But, it's really, and a lot of times people, especially if it's with products, they might decide, maybe I just really like to create and I want to license the product out. Because when you look at a business like ours, where we do a lot of physical products that are shipping and getting created around the world, there's a lot of detail that goes into that. And if you are a really creative person who wants to come up with the game or come up with the idea, you might not want to deal with the logistics, but somebody's going to have to. And in the very beginning days, that's usually the question I ask. And a lot of times people are kind of overwhelmed at the thought of all the other stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like you have an idea or whatever the case is, or you have a service or you have a skill that you are very passionate about that you don't really think about all the other things that go into a business. You just think about, okay, I have a passion or an idea, but there's so much that goes into it. And I think that, and then once you want to take the leap into entrepreneurship, that stuff is so scary for
Well, it is, but
people.
I would say don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would say don't overthink it. And as I said to you, when we started, I mean, I can't even list on pages how much we didn't know. And I think in a lot of ways that's a blessing. And these days, there are so many more tools. You can find people to do things part time. I think one of the most underutilized resources, honestly, are moms, or if dads are the stay at home, where maybe you've been out there, but you've had kids, so you want to focus on your family, but you still want to keep your toe in the game. And I think if with some businesses you can really work, that's a great combination
Right.
with the right people and the right business.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what keeps you motivated? What what keeps, I mean, because I can just imagine that, running a business and being an entrepreneur, it can be overwhelming at times. So what keeps you going?
Well, so we are going into our 30th year. I had my first child, Sam, when I was 32. We were about 3 years or so into the business, not profitable by any means, and really scared to death probably. But I'm pretty stubborn, and I kind of believe I can make anything happen.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the Air Force, child background in me of being flexible and liking change, and maybe I didn't like it when I was young, but I've, you
I
know,
I can attest for that. I
yeah,
agree.
you know what I mean. So anyway, I went through times when, especially when my kids were in high school and they were really involved in a lot of different sports. We had a COO that we hired, so I backed off a bit. I was still here working, and that, I'm back into it full time now, and I'm really excited because of how we're evolving the business.
Hmm.
But I think it's a really hard balance. But in a lot of ways, if you have your own business, you can create more flexibility. And I'm certainly family first for me,
Yes.
hands down. You can ask anybody in my company. It's like family first. There's no doubt about that. So what keeps me motivated, there have been, ebbs and flows where sometimes you go like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know what we're doing. Or, 2008 comes and everything crashes and, you're just like, ah. But I love finding a way through things.
Yeah.
I love that. And so now we're with Robot Turtles as one of the, us being in, if you will, smart is in, kids playing games as part of a learning thing is in. Well, we've been doing this for 30 years. So in a lot of ways, it's so exciting to us because the world is catching up with all the stuff we've been focusing on.
Right.
And then the tools that exist now, like when you dial me up on Skype, I'm like, okay, I haven't been on Skype, but that's okay. It's like, here we are.
Find a
Um,
solution.
yeah, so I like finding solutions. I like change. I love problem solving. I love problem solving.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know that terminology, years ago. But
Yeah.
I love it. It's what I do.
So, sounds like you have a great thing going. So, what's on the horizon for Think Fun?
Well, we have been incubating for a number of years the idea of taking the content of our games and the way we curate our content. Like, do you know our game Rush Hour?
No.
All right, it's one for you to look up. It's
Okay.
awesome. How old are your kids?
4 and 6.
Okay, so the 6-year-old is ready for Rush Hour Junior.
Okay.
All right, so there's a lot of content there, and it's all curated by computer scientists, where we run like there are challenges and solutions, but we use I don't use algorithms, but they are used to create these. And so we're going to take the physical games that we do, which we believe the hands-on tactile experience is very important. But we're going to take those and we're going to go online and we're going to create something called Brain Lab. And kids and parents we're going to create a community where you can go online and actually see how you are improving over time by playing our games.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're going to use modern technology and combine it with the traditional gameplay that we have and then use that to expand it. And it's going to be awesome. I just want to add one more thing there. We've worked with a neuroscientist in Berkeley who actually took our Rush Hour game and some other ones. Kids played it for a period of 7 to 8 weeks, and they showed an increased IQ um, movement.
I might need to play that.
Well, also, listen, it's used for people with brain injury.
Okay.
Therapists have put Rush Hour in their bag of tricks because it helps rebuild neural pathways in your brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and if you think about it, it's just like a muscle. Your brain's a muscle. So, I don't know why our heads and brains have been separated from the rest of us.
Hmm.
I know you're a fitness person, but like those brains are attached. So
Right.
let's exercise them
Definitely.
fun,
Definitely.
in a fun way.
Yeah, definitely. Games are always fun.
Yeah.
So, before we go, can you let us know where we can find you online and learn more about Think Fun and Robot Turtles?
Yes, you can go to www.thinkfun.com. Robot Turtles is on the front page now. It's going to be it's on Amazon now. The game is. We do have a lot of information on our website, and then it'll be nationwide at retail in the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So thank you so much for chatting with me today. It definitely was a pleasure, and thank you for joining us. And make sure you check out iGirl Tech News at igirltechnews.com. And until next time, everyone, be good.